Hi, and welcome to Speck and Celeste Live with Lemurs. Ring-tailed lemurs, or lemur keta, were popularized by King Julian from the movie Madagascar. For our video presentation, we will track and code the behaviors of ring-tailed lemurs to see what makes them move it. Ring-tailed lemurs live in the southern and southwestern forests on the island of Madagascar. Their diet comprises fruits, plant parts, insects, and small animals. They live in large matriarchal groups where the females are dominant to males. Specifically, the lowest ranked female is still dominant to the highest ranked male. This social hierarchy manifests in feeding behaviors, where males have to risk female aggression while trying to access food. As a result, we are interested in examining the foraging behaviors of ring-tailed lemurs in relation to dominance. We constructed an ethogram with 9 broad categories: dominant aggressive, submissive, affiliative, locomotive, self-maintenance, rest, foraging, stress-related, and off-exhibit behaviors. At the lemur's enclosure in the primate kingdom, we first videotaped and coded the frequency of lemurs' behaviors for 5 minutes to check for inter-rater reliability. We discussed and clarified the ambiguity of behaviors. For example, one individual performed a jump, but it was unclear whether it was an aggressive jump fight behavior or a submissive jump away behavior. We adjusted our categories and proceeded to watch the lemurs for 2 periods of 15 minutes each, videotaping for reference.
For the first trial, we coded their behaviors during feeding time and managed to capture foraging behaviors. We coded for 2 individuals who were initially sitting together in a cave, occasionally grooming, and later emerged to forage during feeding time. For individual A, we found mostly affiliative, resting, locomotive, and foraging behaviors. And we also found a few submissive and stress-related behaviors, though the stress-related behaviors were self-grooming and scratching and may not necessarily have been induced by stress. For individual B, we coded resting, locomotive, and foraging behaviors, notably more submissive behaviors compared to individual A, and some affiliative behaviors. Interestingly, individual B engaged in food sharing, foraging and offering food to others. For foraging behaviors, when food was tossed into their enclosure, individuals A and B would emerge from the cave and forage. When they found a piece of food, they would sit down to feed or move to another location to feed. We did not observe much fighting or aggression over food, which we will discuss later. Most interesting to us was the food sharing behavior, where individual B seemed to offer food to others. We could not find a specific reason for this behavior, although Paga and Thoreau in 2022 noted that chivalrous food offerings by males as an investment to females was unlikely due to paternal uncertainty. That study also found that males are more likely to defer to females during conditions of high food availability, whereas during low food availability conditions, males are more likely to risk female aggression to attain food. In a zoo with high food availability, males do not need to risk aggression from females. We reasoned that food sharing might be a food-related affiliative behavior to facilitate social bonds and social hierarchy.
We should also note that it's not easy to distinguish between male and female ring-tailed lemurs. Both sexes are the same size, and there are no obvious physical features that differentiate them, especially not from far away.
After their feeding time at about 11 a.m., the lemurs spent the second trial resting in a cave. We coded behaviors of 2 visible individuals. Both individual A and B engaged in resting and affiliative behaviors by sitting next to or in proximity to other conspecifics for long stretches of time. According to Jolly in 1966, lemurs often sleep in groups, huddling closely together to keep warm and to provide protection against potential predators. Individual B engaged in some self-grooming. This long period of inactivity is best explained by the lemur's daily routine. Aligning with our observations, research on lemurs indicate a peak in their activity during midday feeding, followed by a prolonged rest period around noon. The lemurs typically gather in an area for a midday siesta, where they can sleep in contact with each other, socially or self-groom, or engage in the occasional spat with others. In hot weather conditions, as seen in our observation session, these siestas can last up to 4 hours. Notable to us was the overall lack of aggressive and submissive behaviors. According to Collins et al. In 2016, in traditional zoo enclosures, the presence of visitors increased aggressive behaviors and decreased grooming. However, in a free-ranging environment similar to the open concept of the primate kingdom, visitor variables affect lemurs' behavior less. When resources are not limited in the zoo, there is a decrease in aggression and an increase in resting, grooming, and affiliative behaviors, which we observed in our ethogram.
All in all, in observing the lemurs, we mostly observed their foraging behaviors as well as their resting and affiliative behaviors. This provides some insight into the behavioral patterns of ring-tailed lemurs in captivity, shedding light on their social dynamics within varying conditions. We're one step closer to understanding what gets them to move it, move it.
Move it, move it. I like to move it, move it. You like to move it, move it.